Join us for a webinar on managing your business and finances during disruptive times. Our panelist, Wole Odeyemi, development banker and business consultant. Debbie Makaria, entrepreneur and speaker. And Toyin Crandall, success and wealth coach and entrepreneur. Moderator, Rebecca Tandon, media personality. This is part of the Community Resilience Program of the Transformation Institute for Leadership and Innovation.
Hello, and thanks for joining us for the Community Resilience Webinar Series, an initiative of the Transformation Institute for Leadership and Innovation. I am Patricia Baby Amawa. The purpose of the program is to provide practical knowledge that will help individuals to actually face the challenges posed by COVID-19. The first webinar was on thriving in turbulent times, how to build a culture of resilience. And the second one was on the impact of COVID-19, navigating current and future mental challenges. And today, we're going to be discussing one of my favorite topics, business, how to manage your business and finances in disruptive times. Now, we have an amazing panel and I can't wait to hear them, but I'd like to introduce our moderator for today's event. She's a media personality who's done some work with the Marilyn Dennis Show and Afro Global Television. She's also a social media enthusiast, and in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, she's been helping businesses to actually build online footprints by helping them to promote their businesses, especially on TikTok. I'm talking about Rebecca Tandon. Welcome, Rebecca.
Good evening or good afternoon to everyone, depending on where you're joining for us today. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Managing Your Business and Financing During Disruptive Times. Before we jump into this conversation, I would like to cover a few housekeeping topics. Today's webinar is being recorded and televised, and we will share how to access this session after it is all over. We welcome you to revisit the content and share it to your colleagues. And number two, we also invite you to comments and questions. So please look for the Q&A chat box on your screen. If you think of any questions for the speakers at any point, just type in there and I will either pose it to our speakers at the time or hold it to the discussion portion at the end of the event. Also, you may raise your hand, and if you are able to keep a clean background, good lighting, because we will be putting you on screen. And before you do go on screen, if you could just, let the speaker or panelists know that you're asking them the question. And lastly, we have several questions that have been generated that we will be posing to our panelists. As a reminder, if you have any questions that you have not submitted, please enter it to the Q&A box and we will get through as many questions as time allows us. But right now we are going to take two videos, and the first one is a message from Mayor Tory on Black History Month, after which we will watch a bio video of Moses A. Mawa, President of the Transformation Institute for Leadership and Innovation and CEO of Afro Globe Television and Silver Trust Media. Moses will say a few words after the video plays before we go into the panel discussion.
Hello, I'm Mayor John Tory, and I'm proud to recognize and celebrate February as Black History Month in the City of Toronto. This Black History Month feels a bit different than the ones we've celebrated before. The past few months have not been easy for Black Torontonians. We've witnessed horrific incidents of anti-Black racism abroad as well as here at home, which is why acknowledging this month is more important than ever. COVID-19 has heightened the existing social and economic inequities that exist within our city and within marginalized groups in our city. And I know that the overwhelming sense of grief and frustration and pain felt during the summer of 2020 continue to burden the hearts and minds of far too many. There is no denying that the current times have been challenging, and yet we continue to see demonstrations of strength and of ingenuity and creativity and resilience and resistance from Black Torontonians. In the last year, we've seen tens of thousands of people who took to the streets to call for the end of anti-Black racism, a movement that was strong across the world and that covered a very wide consensus of our population. And we've also seen many community leaders who've amplified the voices of marginalized and vulnerable among Black communities. In response, much has been done and accomplished, but so much more needs to be done. And this has only inspired us to do more. And we are committed to doing so. I encourage non-Black Torontonians to learn more about anti-Black racism, the many ways in which it hinders the lives and the health and the overall well-being of Black Torontonians, and more importantly, learn ways for you to also take part in the fight against it and to be a better ally. As mayor, I remain resolute and firm on my commitment to tackling anti-Black racism within our institutions and our society. This is a critical part of how I honor the history of Black Torontonians and Black Canadians. Anti-Black racism and racism in general has no place in our city. All of these Heritage Months are about us getting to know more about each other. This is a must in the most diverse city in the world, because history shapes who we are, for all of us. It offers us help in ensuring we can support each other and, depending on the circumstances and experiences we've had, adjust and make changes to that kind of support. It teaches us about the good that we want to see repeated and the bad we don't ever want to see happen again. And so to our Black Torontonians, happy Black History Month. And to those Torontonians who are not Black, please go online and participate. You will learn something, as I certainly have every single year during Black Heritage Month, and it will help us to continue to build a respectful, embracing city that is the envy of the world.
Moses A. Mawa is the president of Silver Trust, Afro Global Television, Destiny, and the Transformation Institute. He is the architect of business, media, ministry, and social innovation brands, including the Crossover Mentorship Program. Moses co-founded the Marcus Garvey Institute with Dr. Julius Garvey, son of the legendary Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and their associate, Michael Dawson. As a film and television executive, Moses has produced Synergy, Standing Ovation, The Minister, the Oma Bella drama series, and contents for other private and public sector establishments. His Excellence Awards initiative has honored Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s daughter, Bernice King, Bob Marley's wife, Rita Marley, Nobel laureate, Professor Wole Soyinka, Jamaica's first female Prime Minister, Portia Simpson Miller, South African music superstar, Yvonne Chaka Chaka, and others. The Transformation Program has awarded many Canadian leaders and innovators. Publisher of Envision, Destiny, Legacy, Diversity, Excellence, and the Discover Magazine series, Moses has authored the 150 Extraordinary Canadians Legacy book with his wife Patricia, the foreword by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. In 2016, Moses and his team launched Afro Global Television, a 24-hour super channel that informs, empowers, uplifts, and entertains with great programming. Moses received the York Regional Police Civic Leadership Award, Real World Visionary Award, the Harry Jerome Media Award, Toronto Police Community Service Award, and the Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee Medal. In 2013, CNN featured Moses and Patricia in a half-hour worldwide television broadcast, calling them the Power Couple. In 2019, Moses participated in the Royal Canadian Navy's leadership program. A proud husband and father, Moses holds a BA degree in film studies from Carleton University, among other achievements and honors.
Welcome to the Community Resilience Program presented by the Transformation Institute for Leadership and Innovation. This is a free webinar series that's presented via Zoom with registration on eventbrite.ca. It is actually a 6-part program. The first one was actually on fortitude and resilience, thriving in turbulent times and how to build a culture of resilience. The second one was on mental health, and that is in regards to the impact of COVID-19, navigating mental health challenges. Today's program, which is actually very special and dear to my heart as well, is about business and personal finance, managing your business and finances during these disruptive times. We will also be having a special one on health and wellness with the pillars of optimum health during a pandemic. We've also decided to ensure that we have a unique one actually on education, intended to address the systemic disparities in education, particularly those that affect students of color, with the Black community actually being in a special focus. We have a unique one also coming up later on this month. It's going to be actually on heritage. It will focus specifically on 25 years of Black History Month, and then, now, and of course the future. I'm quite delighted because this is a program that, especially during these very difficult times, is enabling us to actually share information from experts that are within the community and beyond in order to ensure that we're actually able to do better, not just for ourselves and our families and people that we're connected with, but all others across this wonderful nation and beyond as well. So today's session, which is about managing your business and finances during these disruptive times, is basically a unique one in the sense that we are going to actually be having a fantastic panel of experts who will be sharing lived experiences as well as insights about how best to be able to take care of ourselves and all that pertains to us and our finances as well. As a part of the Community Resilience Program, that is actually a free webinar series, it's basically intended also to prepare us to be able to bounce back better once COVID is over, because I'm sure you'll all agree that it's not going to be here forever. Someday it's actually going to end, and we will actually have better times. And at that time, we need to also be able to do things that will move us forward successfully. The initiative is actually presented by the Transformation Institute in partnership with the Canadian Red Cross, the Government of Canada, Afro Global Television, and Silver Trust Media. For those who do not know, Afro Global Television is a 24-hour television network that's actually broadcast right across Canada. We are on Rogers Cable, on Bell, TELUS, Eastlink, Ignite, and we look forward to being actually on additional platforms, as well. And I will now give you a little bit of information about the Transformation Institute. The vision of the Transformation Institute is actually to unlock the impact of good leadership and to accelerate positive change through innovation. The Transformation Institute for Leadership and Innovation has been established with the vision of improving lives for personal and our collective success as Canadians. And of course, we want to also be able to make impact beyond our borders as well, but our focus is just right here in Canada. The central tenet of the operational strategy of the Transformation Institute is to maximize the impact of our work through collaboration, technology, and of course, harnessing the power of our diversity, and as well as to minimize costs, just to ensure that we're efficient and perform exceptionally well. The core objectives of the Institute are to provide strategic mentorship for our youth, women, and of course for men as well. Most times, actually, guys, people forget about the men. We talk about our youth, about our women, and so on, but the men also really need support. So that is actually one thing to remember. And we want to also be able to undertake capacity building through programs that further sound leadership, to transform lives for good through research and innovation, to advance great values like harmony and cultural diversity, to maximize positive impact of citizens and immigrants, and of course, last but not least, to accelerate performance through the conferment of fellowships and awards. So this is a little bit about what the organization is about, a nationally incorporated nonprofit institute that is actually making such an impact in our nation and beyond. I would like to thank you so very much for being a part of this wonderful event today, and let's enjoy the program.
Thank you, Moses. I am so proud of the work that you and the team are doing to make a difference in the community, especially during these unusual times. Now it is time to get into our panel discussion. Our topic, managing your business and finances during disruptive times. So let's meet our amazing panelists. First off, we have Wale Odeyemi. He is a development banker at the Business Development Bank of Canada, who is extremely good at one thing, helping businesses manage their growth in their businesses through expert advice, professionalism, and responsiveness. Wale bags a master's degree in applied economics and poli-sci from the University of Windsor and has worked in several financial institutions, both in his home country, Nigeria, and in Canada. Welcome, Wale.
Thank you very much, Rebecca.
Thank you. And next we have Toyin Crandell. She is the CEO of Toyin Crandell Coaching and is the best-selling author of Money Mindset Shift, a high-performance success wealth coach and an international speaker. She specializes in helping people increase their income, live debt-free, and build wealth by discovering and shifting the mindsets. She has helped clients pay over $1 million worth of debt and increase their net worth by 7 figures. Using the principles she teaches, Toyin Crandell went from being in debt, having no food for her family, and now running a 7-figure company. Wow, I mean, amazing. Welcome, Toyin.
Hi, everyone. Very glad to be here.
Thank you so much. And our last panelist is Debbie Macharia. Debbie, a seasoned entrepreneur who owns a few businesses, including Beauty Prof, a company that produces hair and beauty products. She is an expert in professional skilled and community engagement and mobilization with a focus of migrant communities. Her areas of specialization includes marketing, stakeholder integration, as well as brand introduction and positioning. She is currently North America's marketing manager for events and community engagement at World Remit. Welcome, Debbie.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. Hi, everybody.
Yes, I am so excited to get started with our discussion. I will be posing some pre-generated questions to the panelists. So please post any questions that you have in the Q&A box and we will take your questions at some point. So we could just get started. I'm very excited. So we could start with the first question. What has been the hardest part of the pandemic for you and how has it been coping with it? I'd like to start with you, Toyin.
I work with many Canadians looking at their financial situation. And I think some of the hardest parts of it have been the people who have been impacted with lower hours at their work. We've had a few clients come to us because they lost their job, with so many businesses having to close down. And then outside of the finances, I think some of the hardest pieces that I've noticed has been just the mental health impact. Many people in lockdown and also just the isolation from family. So I would say those would be some of the top ones that I have seen with the families and individuals that I work with.
Yeah, for sure. Going back with mental health, it affects all around us, not just financially. So thank you for sharing. And Debbie, if you would like to share as well.
On a bit personal note, the hardest part of this pandemic is what has been happening to me and to the other business people around me. When you or people you know have built businesses from ground up and then you watch them crumble right in front of you, you get to witness dreams being shattered. And the once upward moving people become uncertain about the future they once hoped for. That has been the hardest part of this pandemic for me. And for me personally, how am I coping with it? It's just being in the present, very present in the present. I like saying that so that I can remind myself that to experience the shift that's happening and to use what I'm learning to see if I can start building the stepping stones back into the future.
Of course, we can't control what's happening in the past, future, but what we're doing right now in the present. So appreciate that answering. And Wale, if you would like to answer as well.
Yeah, for me, on a personal note, one of the toughest things during the pandemic has been the lack of social interaction. Human beings generally are, social beings, and not having that, avenue to be able to interact with your fellow human beings, whether they're your friends, business partners, clients, has been very tough for me. To go around it is by attending Zoom meetings or virtual meetings. Those are ways that I have been able to get around it. I've also been able to stick to a routine, do things a specific time, as it helps with getting things done.
Yes, routine is very important. And right now what we have going on is as close as we will get to being close with people, so we can appreciate times like this. So if you could all tell us a little bit about what you do, and Toyin, if you would like to speak about that.
Sure. So I work with individuals and families in helping them that feel like they've plateaued financially. So some of the people who come to us do have debt. Some folks come to us where they're debt free, but they know that they are making certain patterns or decisions with their finances that they don't understand why it's not growing or why it's not scaling, why they're not able to hold on to the money that they're earning. And so what we do is we take a neuroscience approach to dealing with what habits are happening with their financial situation. And then through that, helping them to increase their income, pay off their debt if they have any, and pretty much set themselves up to be able to leave a legacy for their children or the people that they really care about.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's very important to plan as well for that. And thank you so much for sharing. Debbie, if you would like to share a bit about what you do.
I am a marketing professional. I work at WalterMeet as the North American marketing manager, but I also run a beauty business called Beauty Profs. So Beauty Profs is the proud home of superior hair products. We have presence in 4 countries and are looking, of course, to get more partners. We also manufacture products for professionals who want to have their own label, and we've done that successfully. But usually when I'm asked to say what I do, I also say that, I'm a Black woman in business. I am a wife, of course. I am a mother. I am a sister. I am a daughter. And I am a friend.
Thank you so much. Just because we're in a lockdown and not many people see us, we still want to look good. So make sure you check out Beauty Prof. And Wale, if you would like to end off with what you do to our audience listening.
So I work as a commercial account manager at the Business Development Bank of Canada, BDC. We do help clients with financing and also advisory. We're Canada's only entrepreneurship bank.
Great. Thank you so much. And I'm excited to get more in depth with the questions we have coming for the rest of the night. So another question. So COVID-19 has had a significant financial impact on many businesses. How can you adapt your business model to survive during this unpredicted time? Toyin, if you would like to start with that.
It seems like it is obvious, but it needs to be said. One of the best ways for businesses in this moment to begin to take advantage of the challenge that we've been presented through COVID-19 is tech, and more tech. I really think that this is a moment in time where many businesses are getting smarter. We're learning how to work smarter, not harder. When you are we're pretty much backed into a corner where we have to leverage the online platforms that we have to be able to get our messages out there as business owners. So I know that one of the things we've seen a lot of businesses that we've coached or worked with, even massage therapists or someone who has traditionally had a brick and mortar business, waiting for that walk-through traffic to come in, having to learn how to set up things like ads online. Like, this has been a moment for technology. The second thing that I would say that can really help people to adapt their business model in this time from a neuroscience perspective is giving your brain enough space to get innovative. Taking that time to actually take a deep breath, sit with some folks that got your back and really think. You would be surprised the ideas that come up if you just paused long enough. Sometimes we're so concerned because it feels out of control. It feels like nothing's really working. And for some people who come to us, they'll say, Toyin, it's impossible. It's done. It's over. My business is over. It's all over. And by the time we can help them kind of really quiet the fear, all of a sudden, they have specific ideas, because the ideas for each business to pivot with is going to be unique to your business, your model, not one, it's not a cookie cutter answer, but when you can quiet yourself down to really get creative, sit with your staff team. If you are your staff team, sit with yourself and ask yourself those tough questions, and you'll be surprised what your own brain is going to bring to you in terms of innovation. And the last piece is looking and asking questions from other people who who are in your sector, who are in your field, to see how are they pivoting in this time. Because right now we cannot do it alone. We need one another to be able to thrive in this time.
Yes, and I completely agree. I feel like a lot of people, they sometimes think they're all alone in situations like this, but it's good to speak up to get other advice. Thank you so much for sharing. And Wale, and I will ask the question again, how can you adapt your business model to survive during this unprecedented time?
These are definitely uncharted territories that we've been in the past year. And for sure, you definitely have to think outside the box to see how you can adapt your business model to survive. One of the things I would say is that for a business entrepreneur, you should be looking at diversification. And by diversification, I do mean that you're looking at, going into other channels of production and also looking at other channels for survival as well. Now, especially for businesses that do import and export, this is not a time when, you can actually rely on one of your suppliers. You have to be looking at ways of getting in touch with other suppliers, both locally or internationally. That is one way that you can actually survive in these unprecedented times. Another way is also to look inside and look at your staff. Understand how they feel comfortable. Do they feel comfortable coming back to work? Because let's get it. Social distancing is here to stay. For sure, we would have an environment where everyone has to be working, at a social distance situation, and people have to feel comfortable, working. People have to feel comfortable, coming to work. Do they feel comfortable coming to work? Remote training, remote staffing, remote working is something that we would have to look at as well to adapt to your business, because a lot of people, major businesses have said, remote working is something that they would be looking up. And majority of these businesses want their staffs to be working from home rather than coming to the office. So those are the ways that you would have to, adapt your business model to survive on this unprecedented times.
Yes, I agree. And thank you so much for sharing. And Debbie, if you would like to end off that question, I'll ask again, how can you adapt your business model to survive during this unprecedented time?
I like what the other panelists have said, because as an entrepreneur, I feel that that's speaking to me directly. And this is a question I've really asked myself. So I'll speak from a personal experience. I've had to ask myself some very specific questions that I never had to ask before. I found myself asking myself, what value did my business bring to my clients? Like I said, I'm in the beauty industry, I'm in the hair industry. So I was very spoiled that, clients will come to the salons that we serve. They will always have their hair done. Salons will always be there. I never really thought there would be a pandemic where people will no longer go to the stylist. I mean, we are all suffering here. So when that happens, of course, we got disrupted. And yes, I asked myself, how can I adapt to still serve my customers? And that is the second question I asked myself. Is there any way I can continue to provide this same product or this same service to my clients under these circumstances? And I must say, my team and I, the other stylists in the industry, we've really surprised each other. So what have we done? And some of the things that the other panelists have really touched on. We have gone on to online sales. Before, we were used to a client just coming to a shop and picking up the product. We have a customized kit. When someone says, hey, I need to wash my hair or color my hair, we've now customized it. We either ship it or we drop it off to where they are. In fact, we go a step further and we put instructions into the kit as to how they can do the hair. And if they don't that, my stylists have even offered online virtual sessions where they can work with that client at home to do that service, virtually. Now, what I've learned, Rebecca, is that your clients will actually adapt to the changes you propose, but only if you're providing a solution for a problem they're currently facing.
I'm sure a lot of people appreciate that your business is doing that, especially during these tough times. It's very easy to put your mind towards, oh, the money is the issue, but you're putting it to the customers and, the struggles that they're going through and doing these one-to-one steps. I'm sure it's very much appreciated. So thank you for that. And Toyin, I will ask this next question. You were saying that, the important thing is tech, and many things are moving online. What advice do you have for businesses regarding having an online strong presence?
I think one of the biggest things that businesses, entrepreneurs that are watching this can do in terms of transitioning their presence to be more online, or even some online businesses that are looking at expanding and growing in this time. The first thing you need to do is get very clear on, it's actually very similar to what Debbie said, get very clear on your clientele, get very clear on exactly what your people are looking for, what they need in this present time. Understanding, like I will say this, accept that 2021 is not like any other time in your business. And, you know, sometimes we get so stuck in the way we've always done it, in what people have asked for in the past. I love the example that Debbie gave, because the truth is the needs of our clients at this stage has adapted for many businesses. So getting very honest with yourself, whip out your notebook and write down, you know, what are my client's avatar? What are they looking for today? 2021. And once you can identify these are the needs that they currently have, you ask yourself, how can I meet those needs? And then you do need to put yourself out there. So you want to commit to learning different online platforms, you know, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, different ways that you're able to get that messaging out to them. One thing that I will also say is, as you're getting that messaging out to them, you want to make sure that you are speaking in their language. And I'm just saying this because many businesses are so used to, you know, client, like, you know, the walkthrough clients, the clients that in the past just saw you or they heard about you, but understand that you're not the only one going online. You know, there are many businesses that are transitioning online right now. And so this is a time, as you transition online, that you need to get very excellent in speaking the language of your clients, speaking to their direct need, and out of that place, making sure that you are the person that is able to meet that need. So I think those are some of the things, like committing yourself to learn. I remember we've run our business online for years and years. And before I knew nothing about Facebook. And I remember saying for so long, oh, I don't know Facebook, I don't know Instagram, it's not my thing. But then I just decided, but this was for me years ago, I decided, look, my clients are on Facebook. I am going to learn it. I'm going to understand it. And it was after making that commitment that we have been able to serve thousands and thousands of people. So I just want to say to that business owner who is watching this presentation and feeling like, nah, you guys are speaking a whole different language, I can't make that transition. I want to say, if this woman who in the beginning did not know a hashtag from a comment, it was all the same thing to me. You know, if we were able to build a 7-figure business through online marketing, I want to say you can do it as well. Just trust yourself, take the step, take the plunge, and you will learn as you go.
Yes, thank you so much. The motto for that will be, if Toyann Crandell can do it, then so can you. Great. Well, has demand disruption, of course, we have a fourth question here. So has demand disruption impacted you, and how will it recover from its aftermath? Debbie, I will start with you.
Demand disruption. Yes, I have really experienced the demand disruption. What does it mean to me? Demand disruption for me means that the demand for my products has been affected. This is very personal to me, actually, because it has impacted me personally, my staff, of course, the family, and you know, we've had to close, we've had to open, we've had to do that. But I think the major thing that I've learned is, you know, I've told myself, and actually, Toyann, you really touched on it, it's not time to lose my head, because, you know, when demand is disrupted as an entrepreneur, the first thing you do is you want to lose your head, you know, and as a leader in my organization, you know, I will not recover from this crisis if I lose my head or if I put the feelings into this. So how have we decided to survive? Of course, we've decided to pivot. We've pivoted to what I've talked to before. That's how we are going to survive. It's a, you know, it's a two-part, you know, this question has two parts. You know, how will we survive right now? So we've pivoted to what else can we do with the resources that we have right now to still service the same clients, because the demand is still there. It's just that the way we were doing the business before is not working. You know, how will I recover and survive and thrive. It's looking for new ways that people can interact with our products. And I'm really glad you've talked about the online business. I also had to learn to speak the online language. We were spoiled by just, people will come, but we had to learn to speak that online language. We had to learn to teach people how to interact somewhat another way with our product. We made it easy for them to purchase. And we've, of course, worked with partners that we never worked with before who can help us take these products to our end user.
Yes, 2020 was definitely a year of many things, but I think adapting and changing, especially for businesses, was a big part of it. And Toyin, if you would like to back up on that question as well.
One of the things that businesses that have been disrupted in terms of demand disruption can do is understand that, I think Moses said this at the beginning of the program, but there is going to come a time where we are going to kind of get on the other side of the severe impacts of the pandemic. So just remembering that this too shall pass, something my father will say, this too shall pass, and getting ready for when that demand, because you better believe that the people who have not been able to do certain things, receive certain services for whatever length of time, once that ability is restored, they are going to be looking for that. And they may be looking for it at a higher capacity than you had before. So part of the question that you want to be asking yourself is, whenever things begin to, loosen back up and businesses can start to restore back to a sense of normalcy, are we prepared? Are we ready to be able to serve maybe even a greater number of clientele than we did before the pandemic took place? That is a very big question that you want to be asking yourself, because as much as your business has been impacted, I was speaking to someone this week and he said, it was a woman. She said, many people have been ordering clothes online. And she said, I am not comfortable. I just can't order clothes online because I know it's not going to fit me. So I'm waiting for things to open up so I can go back into stores. So understanding that there are some people out there that are waiting for this opportunity to purchase from you. And are you going to have the capacity to serve them at the level that the many clients are going to need? Are you going to be the person they think of at that time? Or are you going to have given into this, well, things are difficult right now, I guess and you take yourself out of mind? Because if you take yourself out of mind, when that restoration happens, they'll be finding someone else that they have seen during this moment.
Yes, I agree. There's definitely a big wait for people. It's not just online presence, but there's a lot of people that still like to do the original way. I'm one of them, to go to a mall and see what I'm wearing. So obviously, look at that side of things for business. Thank you so much for sharing. And Wale, this one will be directed for just you. Many businesses may have to close and some people may have to go into different sector altogether. Capital is key in this case. What advice do you have for people regarding how to raise capital, and what opportunities does BDC offer?
There are various ways to raise capital. First is that you can look inwards and ask friends and family. You can also do crowdfunding, where you get people to, pitch into your business. You also have the option of venture capital, as well as the option of angel investors. You could also apply for loans from banks, and these are all ways that which you can raise capital. For BDC, we are actually a bank that is very unique. We provide various financing opportunities for businesses in various industries and various sectors. What we've done so far is we've actually come up with payment relief programs for our clients that have been affected by the pandemic. We've also created COVID loans for businesses in various sectors to help with these times. We also recently launched the HASCAP, which is the Highly Affected Sectors Availability Program. It's called the HASCAP for highly affected sectors of the economy. Equally is BDC Advisory Service, where we provide coachings to business owners in terms of areas like financial management, strategic planning, operational efficiencies, selling online, leadership, and management. These are pretty much things that we all need as business owners, as entrepreneurs, especially with the current time, especially with what's happening right now. Everyone needs some kind of coaching and hand holding as to what the future holds. And having a grasp of that would definitely help with taking you to the next level.
And this next question will be directed to Debbie. How can businesses deliver better outcomes in times of crisis?
How can businesses pivot to deliver better outcomes in times of crisis? When we are pivoting as a business, we are looking at changing the direction of a business when you realize the current products or services that aren't meeting the needs of the market, And usually the main goal of pivoting is to help a company like mine, improve the revenue or survive in the market or survive, at this time of crisis. The way you pivot can make all the difference in the life of a business. And this is where most of us in business have really, really been affected, because maybe we've never pivoted before. Maybe we have done it before. Most of us have never done it before, because this is an interruption that, it's unprecedented. So how can the businesses pivot? The questions that we need to ask ourselves time and time again is, how has the interruption affected your business? That's one of the things I looked at. When this has come, look at the processes of your business from start to finish, from when you start to when you deliver that service. Look at it, take note, analyze at what stage of your company has the interruption happened. Then, like, the panelist said before, and I think, Toyin, you said this before, you have to see your company beyond the interruption, because it's when you see what it could look like we were saying, for me, when the people start coming back and asking for better services, what will that look like beyond the interruption? You may have to change your structure because of what you've learned with the instruction. You may have to change the direction. Some of us may have to change partners. The goal is in mold, but your plan has to be on very solid ground. You may actually look and you may need to sell some non-essential assets. A friend of mine was telling me the other day that she was looking around her business and she realized how many assets that she has that she does not use anymore. It's time to start disposing some of the things that you don't use anymore, someone else could use. Of course, you could create capital as you're doing that. Another way you can pivot, and this maybe is not pivoting in a way to generate income, but this has worked for me very, very well, is get a high conscience accountability community. For me personally, what did I do? When I realized my mind was playing games, the staff is depending on me to do one thing. I have a very strong mastermind group that keeps me moving. Why did I say they have to be high conscience? High conscience because this group of people have to see where you are going, where your future, beyond beyond this interruption, where am I going? They have to be able to see your future irrespective of what you're going through right now, or irrespective of where you're coming from. This group of people will be your change agents, and they will hold you accountable as you pivot to deliver better in the future.
Wow, thank you so much, Debbie. Such knowledgeable advice that you have been giving. I appreciate that very much. On to the next question. This will be for Toyin. How can a business model be resilient enough to recover from the impact of a crisis and manage potential crises in the future?
Ooh, this is a good question, guys. So I think one thing that this season has done is it's really opened a lot of people's eyes to the state of their financial planning, their financial house, you may put it. It's almost like, sometimes we get so busy, we get so caught up in the business, doing the service, leading your teams, that we forget about the numbers. We forget, I loved something that Wale said about the service that BDC brings and bringing that capital and helping people to not just have the capital, but coach through it. And then Debbie said, when it started, I sat down and I looked at our processes from the beginning to the end to know where's the interruption. In the same way, if you want to set up your business to be resilient long-term, you must sit down and look at what you are doing with the revenue, with the finance of the company. Because so many people, they measure their business on the front end revenue, but they lose track of everything in between. And I think COVID and the disruption that has happened was one of those wake-up calls to, what's our profit like? What's our profitability? The example that Debbie gave of that person who said, wow, I have all these assets, I'm not even using them. These are the areas that I think right now, if you want to set up your business to be resilient for the long term, you have to not just look at the service you're providing and the revenue that you're generating. You must also be asking yourself the question, what's happening with the money on the back end? Because if I am not properly managing the money that is coming into this business, this company, then anything can happen and the company it gets shaken up. There's a joke that I say to my clients all the time. I tell them, you be the bank. You be your own credit card. Why don't we set up your profitability so that if anything else comes in, you've got what you need, and that's the way you want to start thinking. So if you've never thought that way before, I'm inviting you to begin to look in the mirror. Have those difficult conversations. Many entrepreneurs, we love the service. We love what we do. We love what we create. But many entrepreneurs, many businesses don't like to look at the numbers and get honest with themselves. And I'm saying this because sometimes we'll say, it'll be okay. It's going to be fine. We'll just make it through. They don't want to think about how is it going to work? How much do we have right now? What do we have available in assets? What are our current liabilities? What could we get as credit if necessary? Like, you need to know those specific numbers so you know what you can carry as a business as you're making the decisions about what you're going to do while you're pivoting. And I love what Debbie said about those masterminds, because that's literally what we do. We sit down with people to say, we don't just want you to make it through COVID. We want you thinking, how can I leverage the challenge that is being presented through COVID as an opportunity to actually make my business better than it ever was, to make the finances better than it ever was, so we can come out on the other end of COVID and not just have a story about how COVID has disrupted us, but have a story about how our business has transformed into something better. And I just love, love, love the case study that we have here of Debbie's business.
Yes, 100%. And it's so great to hear that from you as well. And I feel like the one thing that you were saying is also to just be honest with yourself. And Debbie, you kept saying in a lot of the questions, it was repeated that to ask yourself. And I feel like it's so important to have that moment, ask yourself, be honest with yourself, have these hard questions to go through your mind with a business, because, a lot of people, they go through, okay, well, let's think about the good things and like what's outside. But especially times like this, I think it's hit people that, okay, we need to have these honest questions with ourselves to plan. So thank you so much for reminding us about that. And Wale, this question will be for you. What do you believe is important for anyone to be aware of if they know someone struggling with their finances at this time?
Anyone who is struggling with finances at this point has to understand cash flow, right? And what is cash flow? It's simply how much money is coming in and how much money is leaving from the back door. So you have to actually understand how much is leaving in comparison to how much is coming. Is too much leaving and how much is staying? And the idea of cash flow is, like I said, an inflow and an outflow. So you want to understand, what is my income? What are my expenses? Am I spending more than I am making? Can I cut down on certain expenses? You have to be able to do a thorough self-appraisal of your financial situation for you to understand where you are right now and when you're going to. Also, you want to think about the timing. There's certain expenses that you do not want to take at certain times. You need to understand, is this the right time? Is this the right opportunity for me to make this expense or spend this money? you need to also bear in mind that you don't spend everything that you earn. Some school of thought will tell you that the first person you pay is yourself when you make some money. Any money you earn, you have to pay yourself a certain percentage before you can actually spend the rest, right? And so my advice to whoever is struggling financially right now will be, you need to understand cash flow, you need to understand timing, and you also need to cultivate the habit of savings.
Savings, I think, is a big one that we've all learned for COVID to, keep that money in the bank. And we're not going anywhere, so make sure you are saving. And also, Debbie was saying that, there's things in your house that you could be giving away and selling. There's an old desk in your garage, Facebook Marketplace, a great thing to get onto and just sell it to people in the neighborhood while still being COVID friendly and getting that extra cash flow. And Debbie, speaking of extra cash flow on the side, why do you think it is important to have multiple streams of income?
Boy, have we learned that. It's funny how we keep being given advice as business people, but, sometimes you're like, oh, that will never happen to me. But for me, creating multiple income streams allowed me to diversify the various cash flow sources that were coming into my business, especially when COVID hit, because most of what I was doing dried up, so there had to be other sources of income that had to come in to lessen that loss that I was going through. And as a business, you may not be in a position to have several businesses, because sometimes what we hear when someone tells us as business people that you need several streams of income, and maybe this one, what Wole would hear as a financial person may not be what I hear as a business person. Because when someone tells me, Rebecca, you need to have different, streams of income, I think about maybe I need to open another business and another business, But what I have learned is that several streams of income can come into your business in very many different ways. What can you do right now? Because of course your business is generating money. I'm assuming it's generating some cash flow. What can you do that's different from what you're doing every day that can give you other sources of income? A friend of mine a few years ago actually came to me and she was telling me, you invest as a person, because we get a lot of advice as people. They come and tell you, invest in this, invest in fixed deposit accounts, invest in dividends, invest in this. If you look at your business as that person and you start investing in things that could give you money, it will really, really come in very handy in times like this. So what you need to do is think about what other ways you can do to make money. It has to be other than what your business does every day, and you can create all these streams of income. For us, for me, in my business, we've had to diversify. We went into some maybe transport business. Other people have, started driving Uber. Other people have bought cars that people are driving, and that has brought extra income. If you are just selling online, maybe could you do something else that can bring some money that is separate from what you're doing every day?
Yes, thank you so much. And I think now is the time, even if you're thinking, oh, what if I don't do well? Well, you're going to be home and we have the time, because a lot of the time when we're not going through these, COVID-19, we're usually on the run, always busy finding things to do. So now is the time, you're home, find something else that you can get income going, and, then you can have something prepared with that. So thank you so much, Debbie, for sharing. We have a question for Toyin. Is there anything you would tell people to start, stop, or continue in terms of financial management in their personal life or business?
Absolutely. What I'll do is I'll say it from the order of stop, start, and continue. Because before you start thinking about what should I start, what else should I do, there's certain things you're going to need to stop. And so one of the things that you want to do right now is ask yourself if there's anyone that, for your personal finances, for your business finances, you want to ask yourself the question, what could I be doing right now that isn't producing the outcome or results that I have been imagining it is? For example, if you look at your personal finance, a lot of the time people think, okay, the problem is just that I need to budget. But ask yourself an honest question. Have I already been budgeting? Oh, yes, I have. Over the last 10 years, I start the budget, but I never finish the budget. So you have to notice that every time I want to change my finances, set the New Year's goal for 2021, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to start a budget. Has that worked? If it's not working, you need to dig deeper to see what could actually be causing this pattern that I'm seeing in my finances. Another one, for example, is, people say to themselves, save money, save money, save money. Saving money is a good thing. You want to save money. However, for many people, you put the money in that account. Let's be honest now, and you know what I'm about to say. Anything happens, you take the money out of that account. And later on at the end of the year, you look at the account and you go, what happened? But I was saving money. So you want to make sure that you're actually looking in the mirror. I think this is the fourth time I'm saying it, in different areas, to say, what have I been doing that hasn't actually been getting me closer to the goal that I want to get to? So you need to stop just going on autopilot and take notice to what you're doing. Then what do you start? What I usually suggest to our clients is you want to start to ask yourself those difficult questions. What are the beliefs that I have about my ability to succeed in business? What are the beliefs that I have about my ability to be debt-free? What are the beliefs that you need to start to look a little bit deeper to see, how could I maybe, possibly, potentially be holding back my own success simply because maybe I don't think it's possible for me, even if it's possible for others. Maybe I don't think it's something that I can do now because there's a pandemic and there's so much going on in the world and this isn't the time. Whereas there's other people in this exact same time that are leveraging opportunity and multiplying. So you want to start asking yourself those questions. And then what do you want to continue to do? You want to do what Wale said. You want to get help. You need to get help. This is a season more than any other where people, Debbie said, I found my mastermind. I found my people to help me weather this storm, to give me ideas, to give me that push to know this is where I can go next. This is how I can think through this season. So you want to make sure that you're asking for help. You want to continue taking action. The last thing you want to do in this season is give up. Is just say, oh, okay, I guess I can't change anything. I guess this is bigger than me. So you want to make sure that you're putting one step in front of the other, because it does take courage to be a business owner in 2021. It takes a lot of gumption. And so just make sure that you are pushing yourself, taking action, but getting help so you're actually hitting your goals.
Thank you so much, Toyin. And we are getting to our last question. So if we can just keep these to a shorter amount, because it is going to get into our time. I wish we could be here all night getting all your advice. We appreciate it so very much. So for Debbie, we can start off with you. What have you to say to an entrepreneur out there who is about to give up?
Rebecca, this is personal because I have had my colleagues in the business who are just there. Most of us are just there, just about to give up. So what can I say to an entrepreneur, or what do I want someone to say to me when I get there? Toyin has touched on fear. So what I would say is that you, this entrepreneur who is giving up, you could be giving up because you're afraid. And the fear of losing everything you have been building can be very crippling. I would like you to make and take that fear that you're feeling right now and make it your friend. And I would like you to turn that fear into fuel. Fear is not an emotional enemy. We know that. In fact, fear tells you that you have to do something about that story that you have made up right now. You've told yourself and that you have believed could happen to your business in the future. Now, to me, I know that fear comes when I'm about to, play big, or maybe planning to play bigger than I've never played before. So instead, like Toyin said, bring action back into your life. Pivot to what will work. And as an entrepreneur, I know you've done it before many, many times. that's where you're an entrepreneur. So go out there, play full out, give yourself permission to dream again and create that future that's barely recognizable again.
Thank you so much. I love that you said that you've done it before so you can do it again, because if you know, being in an entrepreneur field, that this is something that's not new. There's going to be times where you might feel like giving up. It's not going to go well, but you just keep going. So thank you so much, Debbie, for that. Wale, if you would like to jump onto that as well.
For sure. On a lighter note, I'd like to say first that entrepreneurs and the word giving up should not be in the same sentence. And I'll tell you why. I mean, with my job, I meet a lot of entrepreneurs every week, every day, every month. And the zeal and the passion that they put towards their business is nothing that I've seen before. And so putting those two words together, I'm like, I don't see it. But this is what I'm going to say, basically. Every business starts and every business matures. The moment you see that your business is maturing, the moment where you see that, you know what, I've done this for so long and now this business is maturing, I think that is where you should take a step back, sit down and think about doing something different. And I would explain to you what I mean. Every time there's a crisis, every time there's a problem, like Debbie said, there's always a solution. And that's one thing I see entrepreneurs do every time. You've seen distillery companies come up to make hand sanitizers. We've seen, apparel companies coming up to make, face masks and to make, PPEs, personal protective equipment, right? This is stuff that they weren't doing before. Certain people have had to switch from one thing to do something else, right? This is not necessarily the time to give up, but the time to look inward and say, is there something different? Is there a different value proposition that I can add? Is there something different I can do? Is there something I can actually do to change my current situation? And also, you're in a situation or you're in a country where you can get help from anybody. You have various sources from where you can get help. The Canadian government is there. You can come to your bank. You can also come to BDC. We're definitely willing to help, businesses. So do not give up. Just know that you have people who are willing to help you with whatever you're going through.
Thank you so much. And I love that line that the word give up should not be there with the same word as entrepreneur. So thank you so much, Wale. And Toyin, if you would like to end off that question as well.
To those of you guys who run a business or you're an entrepreneur and you are face to face with that thought of just, I'm done, I can't keep doing this, I want to say, pause. Remember that you're a human being. You're a human being. And sometimes it is a lot. So take a step back, breathe, have a little bit of self-care time. I don't care who you are. You need to just allow your brain to rest and then reapproach the conversation after you've given yourself some time. Because I think the mistake that many business owners make, because a lot of business owners do end up giving up. Many businesses don't make it. And the reason is because often we push ourselves to such a go, I'll just keep going. I'll just keep trying. And we feel like giving up. We feel like we're burnt out, but we don't want to acknowledge it because we want to be strong for everyone. We want to be the solution bringer. But sometimes you need to actually just take that moment, step back, take care of yourself, spend time with your family, play a game, do something that just allows your brain to actually rest, and then reapproach the subject with all the questions that we've talked about already in terms of now what? Now where do I go? What do I need to do? Because I know giving up is not an option, but you need to first acknowledge that you're a human being. Otherwise, you are going to push yourself into burnout, and then it's all over.
Yes, I think, having our business and everything around us is so important, but ourselves is something that we need to take care of first. So I'm very happy that you said that. It's time for our Q&A. I see a few questions, so feel free to post additional questions in the Q&A box. And if you are asking to a specific panelist, if you could just put their name before that. So I have one question from Nokia. It's, how can a business survive in an environment where physical presence is often needed in most business transactions? Is there a specific, can I just shout it to anyone? Wale, would you like to answer that one?
With the current crisis we have right now, it's very difficult for such businesses right now, and it's quite understandable because of the current situation. But I must say that businesses that necessarily need people who should be physically there have to embrace new things. And first is, of course, technology, right? We've said that several times. We have to be willing to be open-minded. We have to be willing to adapt technology. We have to be willing to do things differently. I have business realtors who now show viewings on TikTok. You know, I have business realtors who now do Facebook Live to actually show viewings of houses, right? You also have situations where you have restaurants, fine dining restaurants that are changing and incorporating delivery and online services as well, right? So honestly, that physical part of running a business has to be, we have to see things differently. We have to understand that, honestly, social distances is here to stay for a while. So you have to be willing to leverage on things that would dance around that. I mean, not just for your safety, but also for the safety of your employees, for the safety of everybody, right? So you have to find ways to dance around that. And one of those ways is definitely adopting technology. One of those ways is definitely looking at how can I, do things differently, deploying technology, deploying artificial intelligence and all of that stuff. Pretty much would be my answer to that question.
Yes, thank you so much. I think a lot of people also realized during COVID that social media itself has become another job, especially with your business. It's, getting to know social media and how to work it. So thank you so much for sharing that. And Toyin, would you have any advice off that question as well?
That Wole really literally spoke everything I was thinking of in terms of actually thinking to yourself, how can we convert it? Because we can't run away from social distancing. We can't pretend that it's not here, and we can't pretend that, social distancing, even if we get on the other side of the pandemic, social distancing is still going to be around for some time. So I agreed with everything that Wole said about that.
Awesome. Thank you. Debbie, I will ask this question to you. It's the same person, but I'll mix it into one question. Is it a good time to start a new business? And what advice trying to build a service delivery business during these difficult times? And I'm sure you have advice for that with your business as well.
Sometimes it depends on who you're asking. I would say yes, because I was talking to a friend of mine who works at the registrar's office, and she's telling me she's never seen so many people open businesses right now. And me being me, I was like, what do you mean? Because on the other hand, we are closing businesses. But think about it, Rebecca. I know of an entrepreneur friend of mine who had her business was transportation for school kids, And so she had different vans, and she was, taking kids from point A to point B, from this school to this school. And then, of course, schools are closed. Her business came to a standstill completely. But guess what? This particular friend of mine was one of the, she's like a mathematician. Like she just knows math. Those people who just know math. You know them when you meet them, right? I can see how you all. Then she just started an online math tutoring system. Now, as a mother, I can tell you, I was among the first people to sign their up because they were in this house running up and down. Now the business that she just started has taken over the transportation business that she's not going back. Like Wole was saying, this has brought up so many things that we never thought people will use. One of my stylists who owns a salon, she's doing so many online virtual consultations with people when they're washing their hair, when they want to ask about a particular product, when they want to color their hair, that she's reconsidering reopening her salon again. So I don't know what she's going to call herself, maybe a virtual salon, I don't know, virtual stylist. But yes, it is a good time to open a business. Just think outside the box. That's what this pandemic has taught us to do. I'm going to throw the second part of that question to my panelists if anybody wants to jump in.
Yes, I want to jump in on the second half. And I agree completely with Debbie. This is, if because something I was going to say is, when the person asks, is this a good time to start a business? I love Debbie said, it depends on who you ask. And I will also say it depends on who you are. Because some people, sometimes in our culture, we kind of glorify entrepreneurship. We glorify being a business owner. And so sometimes we jump to like, I guess what I'm going to do is start a business, but maybe you aren't really meant to, or the type of person who will endure what business owners go through. So you want to check in with yourself as well to say, yeah, business is a good idea. Is it a good idea for me? Because if it's not, there are other ways that you can increase your income in this time of COVID as well. So, but let's pretend, yes, you are the exact type of person to run a business. You've always wanted to run a business. You've held yourself back from it. And now you're saying, maybe this is my opportunity. If you know this is your opportunity and you're triggering your mediator service delivery business, here's what you got to do. Know what you offer. Know your client. Understand their need right now. You'll pivot once things change again, but understand what they need right now. Understand what it looks like, what their need looks like right now. Understand how that need is impacting them on a day-to-day basis. When you have that understanding, then you say, okay, how can my service meet that need today? For example, one of the lawyers that we coach, everything kind of closed down. And as a lawyer, most of her friends were saying it's all over. You can't go into court. What are we going to do? You can't see people. So what did she do? She found a way to be one of the first people in her network to convert to being able to do a service through Zoom. And so all these people that were looking for a lawyer came and found her first because she was now the only one available. So you want to know how your service can adapt to meet the need right now. Then you want to do what I said earlier, learn their language. Because if you don't speak their language, so many of us, you're a mediator, right? And for you probably speak like a mediator. You need to, when you're reaching your client, speak like someone who is looking for a mediator. There's a slight difference in that. Many of us who are professionals, like someone who's a salon, hairstylist, there's certain language that you guys would have as professionals that those of us that just show up and get our hair done, if you say it to us, we're like, huh, what? So you need to understand what are your clients saying when they're sipping coffee. Well, they're not sipping coffee at Starbucks these days, but when they're having their Zoom coffee chats about your service, and then learn how to meet them online. Discover where are my clients online? What platform do they generally use? Because different people are in different, social media platforms. And then how do I communicate my message to them on their social media platform? I think the biggest thing you're hearing from me is once you decide that, yes, I am good to run a business, then it's no longer about you. Your business's success depends on you now becoming fully focused on your client.
And I love that you guys are always bringing up that to be honest with yourself as well, because this is a big commitment. And I know a lot of people around us are starting new businesses and they're doing so well, but you have to remind yourself again, is this for me? Because also, like Debbie was saying, her friend that, it's time to also find your passions. That's something you're really good at, and you can turn it into a business. It's possible. Some things you might not think, you being really good at math, but again, it's having that honest talk with yourself. So thank you guys so much once again. And we have one more question here. Wale, you can tie in with this. It says, which sectors of the economy are the best to invest, taking into consideration the lockdown and restrictions placed on movement occasioned by COVID-19 pandemic?
Thank you very much. On a personal note, to be honest, investing is something you really want to sit back, do a personal research before putting your money into anything. I would say that if you look at the current dynamic, current economic outlook that we have right now, understand what businesses are thriving. Some businesses are thriving more than others. Understand what businesses are thriving, understand why they are thriving. And then you can say, this is where I want to put my money in, right? We've had a situation where everyone is on lockdown. Nobody's going out. Only essential workers are going out. This might be a good time to actually have a logistic company to help with deliveries. because you do have grocery stores who are now going into online deliveries. You have restaurants who are now looking for people to deliver stuff, right? That might be an option. You also want to look at, cleaning services. I personally have seen a lot of businesses in my portfolios that clean now making more bucks at this point than they were before. Because, of course, everybody wants to be clean right now more than ever. Hygiene and staying healthy, right? So you have to actually understand the current economic outlook and understand what is the need exactly? What is the need and where can I create a value proposition to this need? What do the people need? How can I create this value? If you're able to see a need and you're able to answer that need by creating something of value, that is your investment right there.
Thank you so much for sharing. We actually got another question that I will be ending it off with. It's like everyone is into online services. What is the future of the manufacturing sector, and can a country survive for a long time without a good manufacturing base? Toyin, yeah?
I'll jump on that. Absolutely not. Our country cannot survive without a strong manufacturing base. Like, we need our manufacturing sector. There's many sectors in Canada right now that we desperately need to be restored, but we're in the middle of this pandemic. And so we're at a time and a season where we're kind of waiting for vaccines. Like, there's so much conversation around what will allow us to strengthen our manufacturing sector, to strengthen other sectors of business in our nation. But guys, let's not get it twisted. The entire nation of Canada right now, there's more than half of us that are in pause. And so as much as we are pushing to be innovative and to kind of pivot and restructure and kind of take the hits in stride as much as we can, we do need that normalcy to start to be restored. And we need it as soon as possible, because our economy is being greatly, greatly impacted the longer we're not able to have normal, activities in our manufacturing sector and other sectors in Canada. So I definitely think that it is an important sector. There are many sectors that have been severely impacted by the pandemic, but until we actually have, strong vaccine responses and those types of things, we can't ignore the pandemic as well.
Debbie, if you would like to add on to that, we have about 5 more minutes left for you guys to speak, to give your last words.
I like what you've said, Toyin. Manufacturers manufacture products that are needed by people. So what is manufactured depends on the demand out there. I'm in manufacturing. We manufacture our own products. And when we experienced the demand interruption, there was a gap in our manufacturing industry, in our manufacturing factory. The people there were wondering, is this where we lose our job? But when we pivoted and we started building online sales and we started looking at other things that we can do to increase demand, then the manufacturing sector came back. So this is where it has to be a 360 circle, where we have to look at the gaps that are making the manufacturing sector not work, fill that gap so that we can make them innovative enough to now adapt to the new norm that's going on. That's what we've had to do with the factory. Right now it's full in production because we just went online. What can we do to revive our manufacturing sector?
And Wale, if you would just like to end off this question with your final notes as well.
For sure, definitely. Can a country actually survive so long without a good manufacturing base? Short answer is no. But I want to say something in terms of the manufacturing base. What I have seen so far is a lot of my clients who are manufacturers have actually taken time to actually invest in improving their day-to-day processes. And that, of course, includes things that we've said already. They're already investing in technology. They're already investing in, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and things going on, not necessarily with the intervention of human beings right there. And if you notice, what that has actually happened, what that has led to at the end of the day is that they're now training staffs differently than they were training before. Now you have staffs who were previously, doing things in a certain way, now have to rely on, new machines, new tech that they have to actually train them on getting better productivity from these new machines. So, of course, the manufacturing base is something that we definitely need in this country, something that we can't survive without that. But I must also say that the manufacturing base have also gone ahead to help with the pandemic in terms of taking things to the next level, investing in technology. And if you look at it, most people or most businesses who have actually invested in technologies are actually better than their competitors. You have a situation where you don't even have the same competitors you had before. The current economic outlook has changed your competitors from who they were before to who they are right now. Certain businesses have new competitors. Certain businesses have new clients and new customers. So, of course, the manufacturing base is something that that is good for us as a country, and it's definitely something that is doing well already in terms of technology and improvements.
Thank you to everyone who joined us for today's webinar. Thank you to our panelists for sharing your insight and expertise. We appreciate it all very much. Toyin, Wael, and Debbie, thank you so very much. I would like to remind you that on February 9th at 6 p.m., we will have an expert panel share their insight on the topic of the pillars of health during a pandemic. Don't forget to register on eventbrite.ca through Facebook on the Transformation Institute page or at transformationinstitute.ca. If you have any additional questions or would like to connect directly with the Transformation Institute team, you can either reach out directly by email at admin@transformationinstitute.ca or via Instagram or Facebook. We have a couple more videos to close out the evening. Thank you all for joining us today. Hopefully this type of conversation that we can have and, start having more conversations like this and be open about the struggles that we're going through this year so that people can relate and get help has helped many watching right now. Thank you so much and have a wonderful evening for everyone watching and those that are watching as well later on. Thank you.
The best gift you can give your family and the world is a healthy you. Don't let your health take a backseat. Join us for a webinar on the pillars of health during a pandemic. Panelists, Dr. Chris Morgan, chiropractor and founder of Black Health Alliance. Abby Ayula, author, nutritionist, and TV host. And Wayne Williams, celebrity trainer, fitness coach, and TV host. Moderated by Nicole Wong, health and fitness expert and pro bodybuilder. Tuesday, February 9th at 6 p.m. Register at eventbrite.ca. This is part of the Community Resilience Program. Visit transformationinstitute.ca.
Afro Global Television is a global super channel that transforms the destiny of people of African descent through programming that informs, empowers, entertains, and uplifts. The mission of Afro Global is to showcase the best of Africa and the diaspora. Watch Afro Global Television on Rogers Cable, Bell 5, TELUS, and Eastlink.
In 2008, we felt that it was important to start a program to reach out to young people in our community because there was a lot of violence and there was just so much going on that was not positive about Black youth or youth in sort of disadvantaged neighborhoods. So we started a crossover mentorship program to reach out to these young people, to bring people that look like them, to share their experiences with them, to let them know that they're not alone in whatever they're going through, that somebody else has probably gone through the same experience. And like Maya Angelou said, when you learn, teach. When you get, give. And that's what the program is all about.
If we don't catch them early, they could be falling into the wrong hands or into the tracks that we don't want them to be. They have to be contributing to the society, not the other way.
It's important to have a mentorship program like this in the community because a lot of the time people are focused on their own lives and a lot of the time it's very separate. This actually lets people come together and learn from each other.
Kids nowadays, I think they spend too much time on the devices. They don't talk enough. Everything is a machine. And the ability to communicate, we have to go out and work and deal with other people. So I think any interaction where they have to learn to deal with other people, going to school and doing activities that they enjoy doing, I think you're gonna have a lot of success, but it's also a great teaching tool.
See, I can't afford to sleep till 7 o'clock, and people think you do, but discipline is important.
This mentorship program is really very significant simply because it ensures that our young people, our youth, who are the future of this country, it's obvious, need to be able to participate. We have for them to open up the system more and make it equitable, and for them to easier able to access that field of employment and education. What the Institute is doing along with the program is to ensure that students and young people can reach their potential.
It gives them career coaching where they can learn the difference between a job and the difference between a career, knowing that a career is something that's more long-term versus a job is something that you just may do to pay the bills, to get by. And also during that transition from being a youth to an adult, which is very key and it's an essential part of growing up. And also it provides them with mentors that can give them not only the guidance, but give them the tools they need to be successful in life.
Hi, my name is Baladi Ajamali, and I was part of the Rio 2016 4x1 team with Andre DeGrasse. We won a bronze medal last year, and I was also part of the Crossover Mentorship Program in 2008. Being a part of that program has changed my life and made me a better person today. So I challenge you to come and join this program.